Welcome back, guys. Wanted to take you into a lesson. Once I got to know this player a bit more, their goals, and taking the full picture, 360 picture of the player, their assessment, how they moved. Obviously really important to understand how you move and how that fits into your swing. You don't want to be working on something physically that you cannot do. That is going to be a frustrating journey and lead you down a road that ends up with you not being able to make the change just because your body at this point in time doesn't feel comfortable moving that way, okay? So for this player, when we did the assessment, it was interesting. In the early swings, they would get up to the top, okay? So they would get sort of halfway back, and then as they would get to the top, like lots of players, and obviously there's lots of ways to make it work, but for them, there was lots of good players that did this, but for them, when they get to about here, they would finish the swing, trail elbow would bend immensely, so there'd be quite a bit of flex in that trail arm. Upper body wouldn't be that turned, so they get to about here, and then for them to get their hands up, they started tilting towards the target. So they had a couple things going on. Trail elbow would bend, they'd start to tilt, and then as they would start down, they would be moving from the outside as that trail elbow started to straighten. From that position, they'd actually have to stand up. So the reaction was stand up. So they felt like they were standing up. Typically the reaction is the after, it's not the cause. So their feel of standing up, in the effort to stay down, they weren't seeing the results that they were looking for, okay? So when we started to understand more about the player, looked at the player's movements, looked at their sort of gifts and limitations, we figured out that the trail arm, when you see it like this, right? First thing for me, it'd be like, okay, it's probably limited in external rotation of the trail shoulder. But for this player, they actually had really good external rotation of the trail shoulder, and they had really good movement through the hips. So when we looked through the assessment, they had a really tough time with their thoracic extension. So sort of extending their upper spine, their upper thoracic was pretty locked in, okay? So when they got to this point, instead of being able to finish their swing with turn, they started to stand up and tilt, and then the reaction was the shoulder would go this way, okay? So the shoulder movement actually is, they had enough range to use the shoulder. It's just the way the rest of the body was responding to their concept of where the top of the backswing is. Obviously, it's really important to know. For me, it's the blend of the understanding of what the player knows, their current sort of gifts and limitations, and then ultimately what drills are going to help them be successful. What is actually happening when they're swinging? So once we got the understanding of those, for this player, when they would do the backswing, instead of trying to get their hands way up above their head, we started to load the hip a bit more and had them feel like they were a little bit lower with their hands a little bit lower. And then from there, this elbow was already in a good spot and their head wasn't in front of the ball. So that change is now giving them a chance to actually stay in the shot a bit better as the reaction. We're incentivizing what we're looking to do versus trying to force a movement that actually, if you do it, it might not even help you, okay? So this one, we know it's gonna help. Their head is not ahead of the ball and then not standing up through the shot because they're staying lower. They're more loaded. The hands are a little lower, so that helps them manage how their thoracic extension is. And then from that lower sort of swing position, they were able to push and rotate through without the upper body popping up as much, right? So that's like a very efficient swing. I sort of kept it 3/4 on that one, and that was part of this player's drills. So lots of 3/4 swings, managing the length of backswing, which helped them not have to work so hard in downswing. Obviously downswing 0.2, 0.25 seconds-ish. When we're coming down, that's not a lot of time if we're way out of position in the backswing and not matching sort of what matches our body with our intended shot shape. We're gonna be in trouble. It's gonna make golf a lot harder. If you wanna know what's the best for you and what's gonna help you get better, make sure you check the description below. Me and my team have this great program that can help you specifically understand what's the best for you and how to move your game in the right direction and get you super clear on what you need to do to get better. Thanks for watching, guys.